A quick new idea daily from the world's greatest TEDx talks. I'm your host, Atossa Leoni, and this is TEDx Shorts. Love 'em or hate 'em, meetings are a part of most of our lives. But how can we get the most out of this time and the voices of the people attending? Dr. Madeleine de Hauke is a leadership coach. Today, she shares tips on how to cope with what she calls meeting madness and how to keep a meeting on track and productive.
The wonderful thing is that meeting skills is something that you can learn and get better and better at every time you lead a meeting, because there's no right way to do it, and you can find your own unique leadership style. And it's very important to articulate the outcome that you want. So if you're the meeting organizer, write down the outcome you want in the meeting invitation so that your participants can see what to expect and what's expected of them. And they can even make an informed choice as to whether to catch this ship or to stay behind this time and get on with work that they think would be more productive. When you're thinking about your meeting and you're planning the process, you have to ask yourself some questions. For example, if the outcome you want is a decision, when you're planning your process, you'd be asking yourself questions like, well, how are we going to reach that decision? Is it going to be a vote? Is it going to be by consensus? Or is it going to be the loudest voice wins? And it's extremely important that the captain shares that process at the start of the meeting. It's no good having a few people who do all the talking while everybody else stays silent. But how do you encourage that in your meetings? Well, there are 3 steps. Listen, validate, redirect. So imagine you're in a meeting, everything's going well, and all of a sudden a couple of colleagues start having a side conversation. That's when you can bring in your listen, validate, redirect. And it looks something like this. You listen and you wait for an opening. Eventually, your colleagues are going to have to come up for air and have a natural pause. And that's when you step in with your validate piece. To do that, you ask a question to break the momentum of their conversation. And the question can be as simple as, can I ask you a question? That stops them in their tracks, and you can step in with the validation piece, which is, that sounds really interesting. And now you step into the redirect piece, which is, can you help me understand how what you're saying relates to the topic we're on in our agenda right now? And you're bringing them back to the objective of the meeting without alienating them. And everybody else sighs a big sigh of relief because now you've saved their meeting. But what about if the people that are having the side conversation are your superiors? What would you do then? And if you were the boss, how would you feel if your team member actually interrupted you and brought you back on track? In meetings, we get what we tolerate. So why are we tolerating these kinds of meetings? Well, it's because of the meeting in our head. We don't feel that we can interrupt our colleagues, and especially not our superiors, because we're worried that we might look rude. But I think we're actually worried that we might be rejected. So I like to get inspiration from Elon Musk, CEO of Tesla. He wrote an email to his staff showing them how important it is for him to have a great meeting culture in his organization. And he said, walk out of a meeting or drop off a call as soon as it's obvious you aren't adding value. It's not rude to leave. It's rude to make someone stay and waste their time. The reason I like that quote is that it recalibrates what we mean by being rude. How would it be if it was okay not to accept a meeting invitation that didn't have a clear objective? How would it be if it was okay to cancel a meeting that was already set in time because there wasn't any need for it? As we recalibrate our future and we think about how we want to do our best work together, wouldn't it be great if we could have these kinds of conversations inside our organizations?
The TEDx talk you just listened to was recorded at a TEDx event in Antwerp, Belgium. All TEDx events are independently organized by volunteers who believe in TED's mission of ideas worth spreading. Special thanks to the organizing team at TEDxAMS. Want to listen to the full talk? Find Madeleine's talk and more at TED.com/TEDxShorts. I'm Atossa Leoni. Thanks for listening, and see you next time.